This is Robert Phoenix, and you are here for the Astro Weather. All right, we're back for another edition. Let me get my proper mic on here. There we go. The deep, rich, resonant tones of yours truly. Oh, we have an Astro Weather cat sighting today. Look who's here. It's Miss Peachy. You know, I watch these cat videos, and I don't know why I have this in. I watch these cat videos, and there are cats that look like her. Like they're part white and part ginger. They're always the fucking weirdest cats. They're weird. Like they do the weirdest shit. I saw one. It was apparently it had made friends. It's like some cat somewhere in the south. It had made friends with a crocodile, and we get up on the crocodile's back and hang out with this crocodile. That's just fucking weird. That would break the internet if they could do an entire YouTube series on a cat like Peachy and a crocodile. That would break the internet. A love story for the ages. What's going on? Let's see. Who do we have? Who's in the house? DJ MC checking at 725. You know, I was trying to get it all together last night, and man, I was zonked. Yesterday was a big reading day. I was doing a lot of heavy lifting. It was good though. Good. It was good. It was meaty. I like it. I like it when I'm able to get in there, and especially with the coaching stuff, because I don't always have to play Mr. Nice Guy with the coaching stuff. It's not that I go out on my way to be a prick or anything, but if people really are interested in growth, then they need a sounding board where not everything they do is perfect. We all do. That's why we have each other. And even again, I bring up the fact that last week I probably went on too long about certain things, and a couple of people are like, "Is he ever going to get anything like interesting to say?" That was a sounding board. So I was going to go out last night and look at the moon and see if I can get a picture of the moon. And somebody who is a friend and who listens to the show went out and took a picture. So I didn't have to do it, and I'm okay with that. I'm not opposed to that. And not only did I not have to do it, but their camera was exceptional. Let me show you the moon from the hill country last night. You're going to freak out when you see this. This is like a frameable shot. Check that. Oh, hold on. It always happens. I got to burn one. Hold on. Let me get back here. Okay, try one more time. Check this out. Look at this picture. Make sure I got it right. Huh? Look at that thing. That is the moon from the hill country. Shout out to Kim K for taking this and sending it to me. Look at that. Looks like a cantaloupe, doesn't it? The moon is a cantaloupe. Wow. That is a shot right there. The beaver moon. What is going on with the navel? It's like some sort of secret base or something. I remember when I discovered the Richard Hoagland stuff. That shit was mind blowing. Monuments of Mars. He and Jay Weidner, Richard Hoagland and Jay Weidner, did the same thing with the moon. And that's where Bill Cooper, when I first saw Bill Cooper, this was in 1990, he did a lecture, two-day lecture at Evergreen College of all fucking places. And he had a lot of these anomalous moon images that were like, what is that? There were like these towers, these structures, tracks, there were all these things in the moon that close up, you couldn't explain it. He got that stuff from Jay Weidner and Richard Hoagland. I don't know how he got it, but he got it from those guys. And that's how Jay figured out that Stanley Kubrick was involved in the whole moon thing, because he recognized a type of photography, which is basically front end. It's like a front end still photography lens used on movie cameras, very, very sophisticated. And these were lenses that were given to him by who? NASA, the most sophisticated lenses in the world. How does he get them? And it's like a watermark. So Jay was able to figure it out. To this day, some of Jay's best work. All right, who else do we have here? Let's see. Nice Light. What's up? Liddy Lou. 15 minutes was amazing yesterday. Yeah, it got amazing because somebody brought some kerosene to the bonfire. And, I was just going through how we got to where we are in terms of Mamdani and these elections being flipped. And I'm just being honest about the guy who is supposed to make America great again is not really delivering. In fact, I have to be critical again today because, here we go. We're headed into the Thanksgiving holidays and we've got issues with the FAA and we have issues with them cutting back on air traffic controllers because they're not getting paid. So there's going to be a 10% reduction. Anyway, I'll talk all about that over on 15. But that's where it started. It was like, there's a reason why all these seats got flipped. First of all, the Democrats fucking cheat. They cheat. And you can't give them a window to cheat. You have to win overwhelmingly. See, that's the thing. If it's a close game, they will find a way to fucking cheat. So you have to overwhelm them with numbers so that they can't make the numbers up. Now, I think this past year has made it a lot easier for them to make those numbers up. And apparently J.D. Vance addressed this, and he knows that they're in trouble. I don't know if Trump can survive this. I'll talk more about that on 15. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of political details here, although, we do live in a fairly political world. Everything is based on government spending, government money, people getting money from the government, right? It's really kind of what it boils down to. It's like, let's grab all the taxpayers' money and then let's send it out to a bunch of people who helped get us elected. That's really what it boils down to. And then we'll throw them a few scraps. I don't think I'm incorrect in my assessment. We'll talk more about that on 15. The link is in the show notes. You asked and I listened. And so from here on out, you get that link. There's also a link to locals over there. But somebody brought some kerosene and I had to throw it on the fire. I had to throw it on the bonfire. And it's a person I like, has been in this chat, maybe in this chat today. I don't know. And we vehemently disagreed. And it's okay to vehemently disagree. It's all right. You know, if we were in the same room together, we'd have a good conversation. If I lived in the same city, I'd shop at her store. I don't have a problem with this person personally. But when we get into ideas and we get into the reason why things are the way they are, and we get into a debate space, then it's like the octagon. And as long as you're not rude and disrespectful, then you should be able to have conversations that are not always comfortable. Anyway, let's see what else we have here. Who else? We got JJ sighting Debisu. I saw Debisu on a picture on a bicycle. Debisu, is that bicycle powered or is that a pedal bike? So you pedaling around. Was it Amsterdam? Look cool to do next. Yes, it is Thursday. That's right. Full moon energy. Kept her getting up during the night 4 times. Wow. The moon was pretty. It was a whopper. That beaver moon. Yeah, she's in Amsterdam. That's right. That was a cool picture of you on that bicycle. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Ole Kobe. What's up, Ole Kobe? Mary Decina, Supermoon Taurus. Wow, it really was. 50 minutes of Mary. Thanks, KK. Appreciate that. Israel is hitting a fever pitch. Yes, it is. And when you have Mark Levine coming out and making an ass out of himself, like, it is one of the most eye-opening. You know how Democrats always lie and they'll always accuse other people of the things that they're doing? They always do this, right? It's like, oh, well, that's what you're doing because you're accusing other. It's just the weirdest fucking thing. And it's so blatantly obvious now because we've seen it, right? We've seen the pattern recognition so many times that we understand it. Well, this thing is happening now with Israel and their foot soldiers here in the U.S., like Mark Levine and Randy Fine and all these other people. They're coming out guns blazing, and when they do that, they're making their own case against themselves, right? They're speaking to a room that is insulated and it's their room. So they feel like everybody in that room is going to receive what they say with enthusiasm and adulation. But what they don't realize is that that message is going outside of that room and other people are hearing it, and they're hearing it very differently than the people in that room. We could call this the Pluto and Aquarius effect. Like if we want to bring this into astrological terms, if we want to go full Mercury Sagittarius, Mars and Sagittarius, and quote John Lennon, just give me the truth, right? This is what we're seeing now. And the curtain is being pulled back. And this is a process that cannot reverse itself and will not reverse itself. You know, the proverbial toothpaste is out of the tube, the cat is out of the bag, whatever kind of metaphor you want to use, this is happening now, right? We're seeing the influence. Now, there are other countries that influence this country. Don't get me wrong. the city of London was brought up yesterday. Yeah, influence. Vatican. Yeah, influence. But we don't send the city of London, unless you count us on our birth certificate in all capital letters, we don't send the city of London $300 billion every year, right? And that $300 billion is not, it's not a loan. It's not repayable. It's just, here, take $300 billion. I mean, just go back 5 years, $300 billion times 5. We're up in the trillions. It's 300 million. My bad. 300 million. Is that it? Okay, hold on. Hold on. 3 billion. Hold on. Let me do this. Let me get my math here. I got it. Still early. I think it's 3 billion. $3.9 billion. So take some zeros off of that. 5 years, $15 billion. $15 billion in 5 years. Since 2020, it's 3.9, 3.8. What's interesting is that this is supposed to end in 2028. That is interesting, because that is the curse, right? That is the 80-year curse of Israel, which was founded in 1948. And it's supposed to run out in 2028. So that's what, again, last 5 years, $15 billion. You go back to 2015, $30 billion. I mean, we throw these numbers around and it's like, it's such an abstraction. But if you broke down what $30 billion could do for this country alone, we wouldn't be dealing with a budget crisis. We wouldn't be dealing with a crumbling infrastructure. Anyway. So as of October 7th, from October 7th of 2025, actually October 7th of 2024 to October 7th of 2025, the U.S. military sent $17.9 billion to Israel in aid. And that would include probably weapons and munitions and whatever else, right? That's on top of everything else. And as the country, as people get laid off and AI and automation begins to make more of an incursion into the workforce, and you have more of the migrant population taking jobs like trucking, people are looking around, what the fuck? How did we get here? And where did all the money go? And when times are good, people are willing to overlook things like this. They're like, oh, so what? I'm well employed. I could take my wife on a vacation 2 weeks out of the year. She can post her pictures on Instagram and it looks great. I'm leasing cars. And if I don't like this one, I'll just wait till the lease is over and I'll get a brand new car. When we have that kind of economic lubricant, people don't really care as much. But when that shit goes away, people start caring. People start looking around. Why is the quality of my life degraded? And that's where we are. And this government shutdown shows no sign of ending anytime soon. So that means that if you're traveling for the holidays and you're traveling by plane, you better be ready. You better be ready to be flexible. And I mean, if you haven't booked your flight now, you're probably going to pay through the nose. But there's almost always last minute travel. It's going to be, I think it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. And so JD Vance was out doing damage control yesterday. He has to. I don't think Trump lasts the year. I really don't. I think at a certain point he becomes a detriment to the party. And they can still get all that Israeli love and devotion from JD and Marco Rubio. Okay, let's get into the weather, shall we? All right. Move that down, move that up. So is everybody enjoying this or was enjoying the Taurus full moon? I indulged last night. I had a gluten-free pizza. That was my indulgence last night, and the Taurus full moon. This is what happens when you get to a place in your life where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think drinking is going to be a really good thing right now. So can't do that. Yeah, I know. These other foods probably not going to be really good for me right now. Taurus full moon, I'll have a gluten-free cauliflower Costco pizza. That was my celebration of the Taurus full moon. God. I remember back in the day when it was much more bacchanalian than that. Nonetheless, we have the moon coming in and getting ready to conjunct Uranus. So people are going to be jumpy today. If you are traveling today, God be with you. I don't think it bodes well for travel. Honestly, especially with Mars and Mercury in the opposition here. Ooh, travel doesn't go according to plan. And the moon right now, as we speaketh, is in a yod position with Venus. And the other part of the yod coming in is Neptune. So we do have a nice, weird little, briefly Neptune moon sextile, which I think is good for just letting water roll off your back. So if you are experiencing a delay somewhere, whether it's in your car and you're on your way to work and you're in bumper to bumper traffic, I hope these words are soothing to you. Serenity now. Serenity now. Because later, I'll give you, it's sort of like, I just had my leg amputated below the knee. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And the doctor says, well, you don't know how close you were to having your testicles cut off, as well as the upper part of your leg and your thigh. So maybe you should be thankful for the fact that you just lost something from the knee down, right? I mean, it's kind of relative, but this is where we are. So for all you folks commuting tonight, keep your head on a freaking swivel because it is frenetic, it is nervy, and I think people are. How much can people be pushed? We're going to find that out. We are going to find that out. How much can people be pushed before they start pushing back. And Trump has been a huge buffer for a relatively unhappy segment of the population. Huge buffer. And there's only so much, well, we could have had Kamala that will get you through those non-Trump buffering moments. I always feel like when those arguments come up, that the incompetence argument is one that doesn't really hold water. Because if she was that bad and that incompetent, she wouldn't last. Kamala Harris would be impeached. And you would say, well, she would have the entire Senate and the House and be fully Democratic. And it may not be the case. So it's kind of a false equivalency to say, well, we could have had Kamala. If Kamala was president, she would have been horrible. She wouldn't have lasted more than a year. And then we'd have Tim Walz. And how long do you think he would have lasted? And that guy's a full-blown nut job. Kamala's just a lush. Kamala's an entitled lush. Walz is a nut job. But I feel like the stress in some ways is related to this chart in this grand cross. To bring it back to astrology, Venus is anaretic. It's at 29 Libra, squaring Pluto. And we're going to really get into that Venus square heavily starting tomorrow. And contracts and compacts. People made a contract with Donald Trump when he was reelected that he was going to come in and finish the job, right? Finish the job that he started. And this Venus-Pluto square is really going to be a sort of mandate on that. Where are you? What are we doing here? Like, get your fucking priorities straight. The Venus-Pluto square is there's a hint of desperation to it. It's really funny. There's this woman, she kind of gets on my nerves. She has a very popular channel. She's a hospice nurse. And she did this one video about being a hospice nurse. These are the things that you don't want to do, because it eventually leads you into some form of decrepit physical condition. And therefore you wind up in hospice. She had a whole list of things. Drinking alcohol was right at the top of the list. Riding motorcycles and ATVs. She even had owning a firearm. I'm like, bitch, that's the Second Amendment. What are you talking about? So she kind of got on my nerves a little bit. I understand where she's coming from. Anyway, she comes up with this video today. It comes across my feed. And in all of her years of being a hospice nurse, she says that people don't panic when they die. What a crock of shit that is, right? That's the Venus-Pluto square. And there's a reason why I'm telling you this story. My mother was filled with panic. Well, just because they give you a bunch of morphine at the end doesn't qualify as not panicking. Morphine doesn't count. Okay? It's what happens before the morphine. And so the Venus-Pluto square is kind of like that. It's kind of like, white knuckling life support. Because for a lot of people, their brains are still functioning and they're still thinking, I got to get out of this place. And meanwhile, their bodies are breaking down and there is a disjunction between those two states. And it takes somebody very spiritually advanced or deeply steeped in their religious tradition to say, okay, I'm ready to go meet God. And if you're not there, you're going to fucking lose your shit and panic. I don't know what the hell this woman is talking about. Because I saw it firsthand. I saw it too many times. So we're entering into sort of this death grip, this death hug, ultimately with the state. And resources. Pluto is resources, right? Pluto's resources. And Aquarius is the people. And Venus is the compact and the contract. And there's a trickle-down effect. Even in the best relationships, not everybody's going to agree on everything. Trust me. I know this. I understand this. Now, the Venus-Jupiter square, that's kind of like hope and denial mixed together in some ways. Oh, we'll get through this, no problem. Stiff upper lip. I've got confidence. Best president ever. You know, Trump is a chaos magic magician, and every now and then he does something inadvertently that kind of changes the game a little bit. He's like, see what I told you? But it has more to do with his chaos and chaos magic than having an overall plan, which is being given to him by Douglas Witkoff and his Scott Besson and all of his finance buddies, Howard Lutnick, right? David Sachs. I mean, these are the guys that are whatever the Sachs. There's two Sachses. There's the good Sachs and the bad Sachs. There's the Sachs that speaks out against Israel but still believes in climate change. And then there's the Sachs that's in bed with Trump with the economy. He's in the sack with Trump. Anyway, this Venus-Pluto square is a trickle-down effect. It's a test. It's a test of commitment. And this whole idea that people don't panic when they die, it's just fucking ridiculous. The sun is in an interesting place today. Like it's right there, almost at 15. And it's pretty much singletoned out. There's nothing going on with the sun. We got a little black moon Lilith conjunction. So all you bad girls with black moon Lilith and Scorpio out there, the light is shining on you. I can tell you that right now. Stay away from my husband. You're not invited to Thanksgiving. Unless you bring a date. That's what happens, right? For women's in a marriage and the marriage ends or the relationship ends, their friends don't always treat them the same. They start to get a bit of the cold shoulder. I'm not sure if I should let her around. I've seen the two of you after a few glasses of wine. A lot of chummy, ha, ha, ha. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong about this. So the sun in Scorpio, illuminating the darkness. Unobstructed. I wonder if today's one of those days where there's just something egregiously corrupt and it just comes right out there for everybody to see. And nobody can make the connection. Like if I had to let something out today, like some kind of bad news, I'd do it today. Because there's nothing connecting with the sun except black moon Lilith, and you can blame it on some femme fatale or something like that. The Sagittarius parade continues. Truth with a capital T. We got Vesta conjuncting the galactic center. Think long term, people. Think long term. Long term. Not just your retirement years, but beyond this mortal coil. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where are you going? Where is this? This is all going to come to an end at some point. Whether it's the final chapters of the 20th century and the greatest generation ever, to the fall of the West because they let the barbarians into the gate. It's going to come to an end. And so you have to be able to think. I mean, that's just the cultural, civilizational end. And there's a new beginning, which I've talked about, and I talked about that on Sunday night. Talked about that. It's going to happen, but the end could happen rapidly. The scale of time is not the same as it used to be. Like, you could go through these ages and they would last a while, 50 years, 100 years. I mean, look how long it took the Spaniards to rout the Moors. Long time. Everything now is amplified and I don't have a baseline for this. I don't have a working model for it, but if you gave me an hour or two, I could probably come up with it. Everything is accelerated. So we can go through the fall of an age within 2 years, 3 years, because of how accelerated things are. I mean, let's use the lone wolf tranny murder conspiracy. When the fuck did that start happening? Like, in history, when did we ever see the lone wolf tranny conspiracy theory? No, we haven't seen that before, right? That's like a completely different mutation, a completely different beast. And that's what's being foisted upon us. Oh, yeah, it's those crazy nihilist accelerationist lone wolf tranny shooters. They're the problem. We don't know what they are. Sometimes they're liberal. Sometimes they're Nazis. They love Lenin and they love Hitler. We don't know what to make of them, right? It's just confused the fuck out of people. But this is kind of, where things have de-evolved to. That's the model that's being presented to us. That's like some science fiction shit. I mean, seriously. If you were to create a science fiction movie, say from the 1970s, and there is one from the 1970s that kind of matches the model. Initially, it was called Demon, and then it was retitled God Told Me To. And it's about it's a wild movie, but it's about an Antichrist figure who is a sort of looking for unisexual. It's like Baphomet, male and female organs. And that's a science fiction movie. If you were to have a movie from the 70s and say, hey, guess what? In the future, there'll be roving bands of tranny lone gun assassins who are part of an anarchist nihilist accelerationist circle. That's a fucking sci-fi plot. And here we are, theoretically, when we have these shootings, living it out. That tells you how weird time is right now and how we could witness the end of ages. Like, even the climate change, global warming, gone. They don't even really address it in that way anymore. They call it something else. So we've gone through we managed to somehow escape global warming. Isn't that amazing? Now, they'll still try to foist the catastrophe upon us, but they won't do it by the same name. It has no legs, it has no momentum, none whatsoever. And now, all of a sudden, they've got to get all these coal plants back up to fire up the data centers for AI because they need all the energy and power they can get. Geez, what happened to global warming then? It's kind of a head scratcher, isn't it? So this is what I'm talking about by how quickly we move through time and ages. You know what I didn't do? I did not do a shout out to our friends. Now I got to do a double shout out at Silver Botanicals. I had a conversation with our friend Ray. By the way, I'm going to be doing a live remote from Silver Botanicals. And really looking forward to it. Because we had a good conversation yesterday. And I'll tell you what the good news was that, where is it? Is that there are people who are coming in and repurchasing the Silver Botanicals materials. Isn't that cool? They're liking it so much that they're coming back in and they're buying. Here we go. Happy upcoming Thanksgiving. Word fulfillment during the lead up to week of Thanksgiving. There's your Astro bundle right there. And you could tell that it's working because people are coming back and reordering. That is what any business is looking for, right? And so from their lips to your ears, they're saying thank you for supporting them and their products. It's going great, and we're going to have this until the 11th. They'll come up with another special for us. If you want to, you can just go right in and get 10% off anything on their website. Just type in Astro Weather. That's your code. So Silver Botanicals is becoming a hit here. And as we move into the True Hemp Science Star of the Day, I have to do another shout out. Usually I like to do Silver Botanicals at the beginning of the show, but I got so wound up today. I got so fired up that I just went right into it, which I think a lot of you appreciate. No mincing words, no messing around. And yesterday's show, I just want to reiterate that the key to all of this, there's a number of keys, but the key to all this, and again, it's with that grand trine, is tap into your creativity. Tap into your creativity and your imagination. That is the godlike gift that we've been given in this world, and others have abused it and have decided that they're going to do a lot of their thinking for us. A lot of our thinking for us. All right. So here's your True Hemp Science Star of the Day. We'll banner it up here. And it's Pat Tillman. I think we might have done Pat before, but it might be worthwhile to revisit this chart. Pat Tillman, wow. Had Pat Tillman come back from Afghanistan, and there's two versions of Pat Tillman's timeline. One is the good soldier Pat Tillman, and he comes back and he's a hero. Pat Tillman, even though he wasn't really wired this way, but if he wanted to, he could have been an action hero. Pat Tillman could have been John Cena on steroids. I mean, look at this guy. Look at the square jaw. He's got those Scorpio eyes, right? He was a picture of intensity. Played football in Arizona at Arizona State. Played for the Arizona Cardinals. Was born in Fremont, California, formerly home of the GM plant that was out there. And he was a take no prisoners safety, small. Pat was small. He might have been 5'11" on a good day, maybe weighed out at about 205. But he was a heat-seeking missile on the football field. Pat was a badass. If you were a wide receiver, you did not want to be in his zip code because Pat would blow you up. And then 9/11 comes along. And it's interesting because, Saturn is in Sagittarius on 9/11, and it's impacting Pat Tillman. He's a Sag rising. He's got Venus in Sag. He's got Neptune in Sag. He's getting hit with Saturn, and he's coming up for a big contract. And he decides, I don't like this 9/11 bullshit. I'm a patriot. I'm going to go be an Army Ranger. So that's what he does. He becomes an Army fucking Ranger. And he goes over there, and then guess what happens? He finds out what the fight is all about. They're securing opium fields. And Pat starts to back channel to the U.S. And he's not happy. Now, if you're the Bush administration, you don't want your version of Audie Murphy to come home from the Iraq war or the Afghanistan war and spill the beans. Pat Tillman dies in so-called friendly fire. How often does that happen? Pat was taken out. He's got Pluto on his midheaven. Like, that's a commitment, right? He made a commitment. He's going to risk his life, risk everything with Pluto on the midheaven. And you could tell this guy was intense, man. Here, let's zoom in a little bit. Sun-Mars conjunction in Scorpio. Holy shit. Square Saturn. This guy was Sparta. He was Sparta. He was somebody who could just endure. Like, he's a stoic. He's Sparta. This guy could live on rat rations if he needed to. Right? And he's one of those guys, as a teammate, as a team leader, people would die for him. I'm telling you right now. Sun, Mars, Venus, Scorpio. I think there was a side of Pat. I'm sorry, Mercury, Scorpio. Sun, Mars, Sun, Mercury, and Scorpio. This guy's intense, man. And his most important relationship was the relationship with truth. And I would say Pat was probably religious. Neptune, the Lord of the 12th house is there, right? He's got this Neptune-Saturn trine, and he's inspired by hierarchies. But he got pushed to the limit in Afghanistan. And Pat found out. He found out. He's got that T-square too, right? Saturn squared off against Mars, against the Sun, against Mercury, squaring his moon. 8th house. Somebody made a top-down decision and said, yeah, this guy's not coming back to the U.S. But he figured things out, right? He's got that Saturn Pallas conjunction. Oh, he figured shit out. Maybe too much. True note in Scorpio. Maybe Pat should have kept it at a ideological level and stayed out of the physical part of it. South Node Taurus. Maybe that was his undoing. He figured it out too late. You know, what's interesting, and I mean no disrespect to the Tillman family at all, because this guy was a total badass. But he was reflexively moved by 9/11. I mean, to me, that's very Venus on the ascendant. You can't get out of it with Saturn like being like on his fucking ascendant, conjuncting his Venus. It's like he's going to go off. He's going to be marching off to war. The other thing about Pat's chart, doesn't have a lot of air. He's got Pluto in Libra. He's got Juno in Libra, and he's got part of fortune in Gemini, but he doesn't have a lot of air. And when you don't have a lot of air in your chart, you don't have a lot of objectivity. It's hard to kind of zoom out, right? This guy's all fire and intense water and earth, so he's going to take action. And if he had waited and not been so reflexively moved by 9/11, if he could have waited 6 months, he would have figured it out. And he's somebody that leaned on people. He leaned on professors. He leaned on Saturnian people. And they encouraged him. Like, well, you've got to follow your conscience, Pat. Well, Pat's conscience was manipulated. And I think the family understands this. I don't know what kind of NDAs they signed, but I'm sure they're taken care of. They're like, listen, you're going to be quiet about this. And he'll be a hero. We'll enshrine him as a hero. And you'll get his survivor benefits, which will be maybe double or triple. I feel for this family. Because in the aftermath of all of it, like Pat was in Afghanistan. And how we left Afghanistan and what we left in Afghanistan is a slap in the face of this man's life and all the lives of others who aren't as famous as Pat Tillman. And how do you think his family felt? That's his legacy? Just scooting on out of there? Because fentanyl's cheaper and easier to produce than any of the other opioids that those poppy fields were so important to have? That's it? I feel for the family. They have to live with this every day. He may have been 5'11", but this dude cast a long shadow over his family and his community. And we live with what could have been. And make no mistake, this guy was on his way back to the States. And he was going to blow some whistles. And they knew. They knew. And it was like, you ain't getting back here. Your tour of duty is over. Terminated. But I think Pluto plays a role here. You know, it's in this inconjunct down at the bottom of the chart with the moon. And it's that moon, the moon in Taurus. It's like it's this full moon. And Jupiter is just overwhelming there, right? It just makes everything bigger, makes the emotional response bigger. And it's that in conjunct to Pluto, and it leads him ultimately to his death. That and Saturn, transiting Saturn, it's unfortunate. But, with all that Scorpio, one-track mind. He's going to go over there. He's going to defend his country, and he's going to get the motherfuckers that did it. That's the kind of guy he was. Anyway, your True Hemp Science star of the day. True Hemp Science, your one-stop shop for all things CBD. Spend $100 more. Type in 15MIRNS. Get the goodie bag. Get free shipping with $150 or more. Get healthy. Body, mind, spirit. TrueHempScience.com. All right, we're done. The link for 15 is in the show notes. And we're going to have kind of more of this Mamdani fallout, but also the latest with what's going on with travel, the reduction in the FAA by 10%, and what it might mean for you as a traveler over the holidays, which are at this point about 3 weeks out, 21 days roughly. Last Thursday of November. Now things could change, but it's probably better to be aware and forewarned versus just stumbling into a situation and, well, nobody told me it was going to be like this. All right. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart say what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves. Treat each other well. God bless. Bye for now.